Hi there, Tyrone again here, and I'm today going to talk to you a little bit about Musekese Camp specifically. Um, this is the second video in a short series which aims to give you the prospective guest or agent, an insight into what to expect on safari with us here and how best to put together the best possible itinerary. If you're after more general information on Zambia, park locations, camp locations, logistics, etc., then do go back to the first video. But for now, here's a bit more detailed information on Musekese Camp itself here in the Kafue National Park.
So I'm actually going back to the first slide, or the image from the first slide, which is an aerial image, and it's a bird's eye view of Musekese Camp itself and the lagoon in front. It explains really well how the location looks. Having said that, this photo here was taken in the early season, in May specifically, and as you can see, the lagoon in front of the camp is full of water. It's absolutely beautiful, but as this water recedes throughout the dry season, it gets replaced by wildlife coming to drink and graze. And so you can also see on the tree line edge, the lovely shady thick woodland in which the camp lies, are the various guest rooms and the main area, of which for 2020 season onwards, we have got 5 rooms only. Here is a less attractive but equally helpful small diagram or sort of map of the camp layout and the names of the rooms. It may be useful information for you to choose which room is your favorite or rebook a room that you enjoyed staying in previously. As I said, from 2020 season onwards, the guest rooms have been completely renovated. As such, the locations are exactly the same as outlined here, but the design of the rooms themselves is different, and I'll come on to show you how they look in the following slides. Let me start with the main communal areas, which are basically in 2 parts. Here, an image of the lower deck, which overlooks the lagoon. A deck which, as you can see from this image, one doesn't really need to leave to get a good view of the action either. And the main area with bar and charging station. It's a very cool location, temperature-wise. At Musekese Camp, there's no guest Wi-Fi. The camp is not in an area with cell signal, and so our office back of house does have a satellite internet connection for day-to-day running of the camp, and of course for emergency contacts with Lusaka, etc. and beyond. But as a consequence, we feel it's the ideal place for the guests to switch off completely and enjoy being immersed in the bush. There's no swimming pool at Musekese Camp either. This is very much a classic bush camp, which, whilst hugely comfortable, is one where we pride ourselves on the wildlife experience specifically and really getting under the skin of this part of the park with the expert guiding. In the main area, we have a central charging station. This is 24 hours a day, solar powered, as is the whole camp, although we do have a generator rigged up too, as a backup in case of maybe excessively cloudy days and things like that. So the main area also has a small but very well stocked library of reference books for guest use as well. The majority of our meals are catered for on the main deck. These are communal meals generally, and our breakfast, lunches and dinners are in a scene such as this image shows you, overlooking the very game-rich lagoon. And speaking of dining and cuisine, we're very proud of our kitchen and the quality of food we offer at Musekese Camp. We feel it is an integral part of a fantastic wildlife experience, and we've always been very proud of our food and put a big emphasis on this. We're acutely aware that it's very easy to serve very common lodge cuisine. As such, we try to be slightly different without trying too hard and getting it wrong, but rather having very salad-centric lunches, buffets, and dinners being sort of hearty, well-balanced evening meals. Our menu is on a 7-day rotation and is replicated at both of our camps. Such a sort of combination trip at both of the properties will mean a very varied daily meal for the entire stay. The last few years have seen an increase in unique sort of dietary requirements. We have hosted guests with a whole host of specific needs. And of course, this is no issue whatsoever for our kitchen. and our team of very well-trained staff. When our guests return from their afternoon activities into the evening, we always make a point to sit around the campfire and reminisce of the day's adventures and enjoy fireside chat with a nice cold drink in hand. As I said, we now have 5 guest rooms at Musekese. As such, the maximum number of guests in camp at any one time is only 10, though in reality there are usually several single occupancies, and as such, you're looking at probably 6 to 8 people in camp on average at any one time in the peak months. At the end of the 2019 season last year, we took the decision to redo our guest rooms with the thatch roofs, as you can see in this image, needing replacing. So we took the opportunity to start from scratch. And as such, we've spent the majority of this early 2020 season rebuilding, often repurposing building materials from these old rooms and timber, etc. And here is an image of how the rooms looked for the past 3-4 seasons, along with some of the resident wildlife. And here are some images of the new rooms. It was important we didn't detract from the bush camp feel. And this is ultimately what we are and what we want to be. However, some small adjustments, we feel we've really enhanced the experience with us at Musekese. We have now plumbed hot and cold water showers, and we previously had bucket showers, which can be now taken at any hour and always have hot water. You can see there's a new, more expansive, open-fronted aspect to the chalets. From 2020, there is no charging facilities in the rooms, but there is a USB charging slot, which is powered by the daily sort of solar energy, allowing a top up of your cell phone or head torches if they have a USB attachment. So as we said, we're just 5 rooms, so worst case sort of 10 guests in camp at one time maximum. What we do is guarantee at least 2 guides on duty for every activity. As such, the guest is always able to do what it is that they'd like to do. And we pride ourselves on the quality of guiding here at Musekese. Both myself and Phil still guide out actively and are part of a larger guiding team. We're all fully qualified and highly experienced, and notable team members also include Gilbert, who's one of the most senior guides in Zambia, qualified in both the Lower Zambezi and the Kafue, and Ason, who's a really top-notch young guide, an exceptional talent, who's already spent valuable months working with international film crews such as the BBC. It's worth also noting that private activities and guides are available. They have to be pre-booked, of course, and the rates for these are very competitive, and they are ideal for private groups or families or special interest groups, such as those interested in walking or wildlife photographers, and maybe even birding groups. So Musekese Camp has a guides or pilots and tour leaders tent back of house, and it was a conscious decision of ours to be wholly welcoming to private guides and hosted groups. Musekese Camp itself is the ideal size of a camp to host such groups, as you can basically, or you do have it to yourself. And we have a pricing structure which is very attractive to do this. We do not charge anything for accompanying guides or tour leaders for their stay, only their park fees and their extras such as the transfers in and out, but otherwise their stay is free. So activities on offer at Musekese, they're very varied, and this is a huge plus point for the Kafue in general and ourselves specifically. The area in which we do our activities is as wild and private as one can get in a public national park. There's just one other operator currently in the region, and their vehicles are hardly ever seen throughout a season here. So, of course, this area is remote, and the guiding team here knows it like nobody else does, which of course ensures that a top quality safari experience with wonderful wildlife sightings is had. We've invested heavily in high quality game viewing vehicles the past few years, and we are very confident that they offer the ideal platform to safari from, especially ideal for wildlife photographers. We have specially custom made side and low mounted bean bags available too for guest use. And the river, of course, the Kafue River. We have 2 flat bottom hull boats for game viewing on along the Kafue, and also at one of its tributaries, the Lafupa. And these are a fantastic way to maximize the guest experience. Importantly, we're also a team of guides who enjoy to walk, and walking safaris are a quintessentially Zambian safari pursuit. And we are proud to have a long history of walking emphasis here at Musekese and at Geoffrey McKee Safaris, namely because in the early years we had no roads. But today we still enjoy to stretch the legs in the cool mornings, and we're lucky that 3 of the guiding team are walking qualified and highly experienced. Again, worth noting that whilst we enjoy to walk, if guests do not want to, that's absolutely fine. They don't need to. There's plenty more and plenty of other things for folk to do. It's simply another choice of activity. And lastly, for folk that enjoy to spend time alone or in hides, we have a treehouse hide situated close to the camp. It's the ideal place to park off with a book, a pair of binos, or as you can see from the image, your cameras, and wait for the elephants to pass by or anything else that might be coming down to the lagoon to drink. And the wildlife itself, we really feel, and it is exceptional. We now have 16 different identified leopards in our game drive network, which is pretty phenomenal. And we do see them not just from game drives, but again, as this image shows you, from the boat too, especially in the dry season months. So there's a lot of really fantastic wildlife to be seen here. We have a resident pride of lions too, currently with 6 little cubs. And however, whilst the larger sort of more glamorous species are well represented here, we're also very lucky to see some of the more unusual species too. Think of sort of roan, sable antelope, to name a few. And of course, the bird life, it's as spectacular as it is varied. And this image here shows just how pretty both the birds and also the green season months can be. This photo taken in November, when Musekese is still very much open.
So thanks for listening. I suppose at this point it might be good to note that Musekese Camp it's ideal as a standalone destination for a safari, but it's also good in combination with other properties within the Kafue or even outside of the Kafue, especially in combination with our own Ntemwa Busanga Camp. So a few nights, I'd say 3 or 4 nights spent at Musekese, followed by 3 or 4 nights spent at Ntemwa Busanga, makes for a really good northern Kafue itinerary. Remember, these areas are vast, and so you really need to spend a good bit of time in each area to get the most out of the area and see as much as possible. And so the next video will give you more information on Ntemwa Busanga Camp specifically and what one can expect on a safari up there.